Welcome back to Investment Fund Secrets. I'm Pennington, and today we are going to talk about an American waterfall versus a European waterfall. All right, people, so welcome back. A few things are fun, a few updates on what we're doing. Right now, we're trying to land a few more deals with companies that are going to send us leads. Just so you know, what we do is I run a debt fund right now. We do short-term loans, a little bit longer loans, and hard money loans, all in that realm. We'll do about 30 to 40 loans a month, and we're growing right now. We've set up a few more relationships, and we're just trying to massage those relationships and get the systems and processes down with my team to make sure things are running smoothly. And it feels sometimes like a fire drill because we have so many clients we're doing loans for that we're getting calls and called up and everything. But something I want to talk about today is a question I got. I was talking to a buddy about the fund. He was actually interested in investing, and I kind of told him we have plenty of money. Our investors are dying to give us more money. We just don't have enough places to deploy it right now. That's what I'm struggling with, is finding more investment vehicles that are good. There's plenty of people that want to take your money when you start a fund. Tons of fraudsters. I talked about them before. I've actually talked this week with a couple of different people that are definitely on the more fraud side and that just want free money essentially. But and you're gonna, when you when you start your fund, you are totally gonna feel that and start seeing the scammers out there. So you got to see through it and ask piercing questions to get past all the BS out there. But anyways, he was asking me about how we distribute to our investors and what we do. He said, do we do this like a deal by deal basis? So if I give you X amount of dollars, is that going into just one loan? And if that one loan goes bad, is my money gone? Or how is it distributed across your fund? I said, that's a great question. There's two actually different schools of thought. So number one is called the American waterfall. Number two is called the European waterfall. And I'll walk you through both benefits of each one. Each fund does it differently. You can ask a fund manager, hey, do you guys have an American or European waterfall? And that'll impress a lot of people. Going back to the vocab, to level yourself up in a room, if you can start spitting things like carried interest, cap rates. You can talk about American and European waterfalls. Another one, your pref, your carry on that interest, all different stuff like that is going to level you up in a conversation in a room with people. So first off, American waterfall. American waterfall in the most generic terms is a deal by deal basis. So just a quick review, a typical fund will have a 2% management fee. So if you're managing $10 million, you're going to take a 2% management fee as a fund, which I don't recommend doing for your first fund at all. But that's what typical funds do, is a 2% management fee. And then they usually do a pref, meaning we'll say an 8% pref. So minus the 2% management fee, the first 8% of all returns is a preference to the investor, right? So that first 8% goes to the investor. Then there's typically a catch-up. They call it a catch-up to the fund. Our fund, we do the 9th and 10th percentile. 100% of that goes to us as the fund. So if we made 10%, 8% would go to the investor, 2% would go to the fund. And then above that, what we do is we do an 80-20 split. So 80% goes to the investor, 20% of the fund. And you can do things like if you get above, so that's after 10%, it's an 80-20 split. If you get above a 25% return, you're going to split 50-50. You can do all different things like that to incentivize investors and yourself as a fund manager to make money and to make higher returns, right? So with an American waterfall, it's like that was a quick review of how a fund works. American waterfall deals with how that is distributed to investors. So you see this really common in real estate equity funds. So for example, let's just use round numbers, really simple numbers. You bought a real estate property for $10 million. You held onto this property, you renovated it, whatever, and you ended up selling it for $12 million. So round numbers, you made a 20% return on this. An American waterfall says for that deal, the minute you close, you distribute to your investors for that one deal. So on that deal by itself, you made a 20% return. So first 8% is going to go to the investor. Next 2% is going to come to you as the fund. And then from percentile 10 to 20, you're going to split it 80% to the investor, 20% to you. And you distribute right when you sell it. That is an American waterfall. So if you remember, American is deal by deal basis. Now the other school of thought is called a European waterfall. So European waterfall, let's say you run a real estate investment fund and you're doing tons of deals all year. You do that $10 million deal and you do another deal in 3 months and another deal and another deal. And at the end of the year, what you do is you consolidate. Let's say you did 5 or 6 deals. You bring those all together and you say, okay, we did 6 deals. One deal we lost money. One deal we made money. One deal we were right in the middle. Another deal we made money. At the end of the day, we ended up on our total fund making let's use a round number of 15%. So at the end of the year, you then say, okay, or at the end of the fund cycle, you can do an 8-year fund. Say at the end of the fund cycle, we are now going to distribute to our investors. So at that point, right, you take the first 8% goes to the investors, the pref, the catch up 2% to the fund, and then 80-20 you split it 80% to the investor, 20% to the fund. So that is a European waterfall. So to review, American waterfall is deal by deal basis. European waterfall is a conglomerate of all the properties. Now, benefits, pros and cons of each one. So American waterfall, like I said, is super common in real estate because you're doing a lot bigger transactions, and just makes sense. Once a deal closes, let's just distribute that money. It doesn't work though. I've talked with a lot bigger real estate companies. They've done that growing up while they were getting bigger. Once they hit a certain level that they decided, $3 billion, $5 billion, $20 billion, they decided to switch to a European model just because it was so many deals happening that it's really hard to keep track of. That's how I am with my business. We run a debt fund. We're doing loans, right? I was telling you about 30 loans a month. It's really hard for each loan to say, okay, this loan is let's say we made, I don't know, 20 grand on this loan. Okay, let's split that and divide it all up and go here. Okay, now we made another 13 grand here, and then we made another 50 grand here. It's just a lot easier at the end of the day to say, okay, what's the total numbers? Which ones went bad? Which ones went good? And let's total that up and distribute to our investors. So it really depends on the nature of your business and what is easier for you to do accounting wise. But those are fantastic terms. When people are interviewing, you're asking about funds, you can say, hey, do you guys run an American or European waterfall? And if they don't know that, you can explain it to them, and it's a fantastic conversation starter and a way to help you level up inside of a conversation. So hope that helped out today. American versus European waterfall. Love you guys. See you on the next episode.